John Boyle's hair. It's awesome.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate that.
Oh, and it's on. And we got the Legos.
Hot night.
That's pretty funny.
All right, and with that, John, would you like to ask the first question?
I mean, sure. Just, John, tell us what you like about this pick and what kind of player the Seahawks are getting.
Yeah, I would say in a really unique year, Jason Barnes did a great job, as well as all of our scouts, but did a great job with the 6 games these guys played and really getting to know Dwayne and really knowing the person, the competitor, and who he is, family makeup, everything, and yeah. So overall, just extremely explosive, 5'9", 190 something, 4'3", whatever, 6 to 9, ran a 10.5, 100 meters in high school, 21.5, 200 meters. Just really explosive guy, can throttle his speed, tough. We're getting a guy that could play a number of different positions, and is a kickoff returner, could be a gunner. There's a really cool shot of him as a gunner against Central Michigan, where he just throttles somebody, and yeah, we're getting a guy that's competitive, hungry, intense. He's got some dog to him, and yeah, I think you guys already spoke with him, right?
Joe Fan?
John, I think with just 3 picks, everyone was kind of expecting you guys to try to move back and get some more ammo. Was that a situation where the opportunity to present itself, or the risk of maybe losing your guy wasn't worth it?
You know what? It was a combination of both, actually. We thought we were close, and then we lost something right at the end. And so, I mean, we were literally like maybe 5 minutes away or something. So it just kind of fell apart, and we just moved forward, and we were excited to just take our guy. I know you guys get tired of saying like the best available player and all that, but I mean, he was the guy.
Corbin?
Hey, Pete. So I look back at Dwayne's career. He was starting as a corner when he first got there. He was a running back at the high school level. John mentioned the versatility he brings to the table. How much of the fact that he played extensive snaps at corner pique your guys' interest picking him this early in the draft?
Yeah, it makes him a unique player coming in at the position. Whenever think about the staff that had to make it, present this to him. We got problems on defense. We need some help. We think you could be a cornerback. I mean, how many wide receivers do get asked that question? So the versatility, the all-around athlete that he is, the person that he is, he's really smart and bright and wide open and team-oriented and all of that. I think it just showed the variety and the spectrum of this guy's ability. We love the explosiveness part of it, but you can also see there's a few clips in here, and you can see when he was playing defense, he was physical. He went after guys, which we love about what he brings to the wide receiver position, because our guys are called on to block a lot in our offense, and they have it's a big part of the game, and that was one of the additional elements that just added to why we like Dwayne so much. So we're really fired up about it.
Bob?
Yeah, Dwayne seems to have an awful lot of. Last year, he got an awful lot of yards after the catch and all of that. Is that something that I'm sure, an attribute you guys would always like anyway? But with maybe the changes you might make in the offense with Shane, is that something that maybe was a little bit more of an emphasis or a priority in looking at guys this year?
Yeah, it is part of it. It really, I mean, it's the whole makeup of this player in particular. But we want guys that are versatile. We like to play with good rhythm and tempo. We'd like to keep the guys out there on the field, so they have to be versatile and able to do all of those things. He definitely is a guy, as you can tell from just the highlights that you probably have seen, that we can hand him the football, we can flip it to him, we can do things with him behind the line of scrimmage. He's run very effectively in reverses and stuff like that. So and the returns show that as well. So all of that is we were looking for a receiver that would have all of that kind of versatility, and he was really an exciting one to get.
Michael Sean.
To draft.
Hey, what's up, guys? Dwayne described himself as a dog, and John, you just used that same word. What do you guys see in him to use that particular adjective?
Well, I think to reiterate, basically what Pete just said. I mean, for a staff to go to a guy and say, hey, a guy that's supposed to be, kind of a track athlete, right? The 100-meter sprinter and 200-meter sprinter. I think he was like a 23-something foot long jumper. For a guy like that, usually you hear the term track guy and all that. For a staff to go to a guy and ask him to go play some defense and, go play against Michigan State and, just go compete. You could see him just flying up and run support, throwing his body around. He's just a competitor. He's overcome a lot. He's just a great guy. And like I said, Jason did a great job. Jason Barnes of really getting to know the person and the competitor, and we've really emphasized that. When you have all these picks, I mean, you gotta be able to sort all this stuff out. So no, we just felt like we really were focused on the person, and you could tell he's got. I don't want to compare him to people, but so I guess I won't. But he's got some really cool attributes.
Come on, John. You can tell us what name were you going to drop right now. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Curtis?
Yeah, John. He said that he lined up a lot at X the last year at Western Michigan there. How do you kind of see him fitting into this offense with you? And then on, with this kind of mold between the slot and outside. And then on top of that, what kind of led to his big breakout season? I mean, he seemed like 6 great games. He went kind of wild for them. What did you see that kind of allowed him to make the jump into that player?
Well, I would say the first part of it, really, the coaches, will figure out. But when he had some really good interviews with us. He had a great interview with Nate and Kerry. The way he described the way he learns is, learning all the different positions and figuring out what everybody else is doing, and then he can just go play, and that frees him up. So, the coaches will figure out where he can play. But the cool thing about this guy is he's shown that he can play all over the place, and again, you get the versatility as a kick returner and as a gunner if the coaches deem appropriate. But with this year, I think it's pretty cool to see a guy, in that conference having only 6 games, be hyper focused the way he was, and to compete at the level he did. And then Jim Nagy and his staff obviously invited him down to the Senior Bowl, and that's really where you could see him. I don't want to say separate himself, but be able to kind of show exactly what he could do and all the different tools, the different skill sets he had, whether as a route runner and a receiver and a competitor going down there to the Senior Bowl. Sorry.
Jen?
He talked to us about the injury that he had and called it the best and the worst thing that had happened, because you don't wish for an injury, but he said he learned a lot from it. How did he characterize that? And John, I guess this goes to you, in the conversations that you guys had with him.
Just his focus, just being able to concentrate on some personal things that he needed to work through, and then being able to focus on how important football was to him, and the future, that he envisioned for himself. Sorry.
Brady?
Hey, John. How much does he's 24 years old? How much, if at all, does his age factor into the scouting equation for you guys?
It's part of our equation, but you're not talking about a guy that has a ton of tread, a ton of wear on him. So, he's a guy that's still fresh and trains hard, and he's just a unique athlete. Those guys, there's certain guys that can just run all day. There were a number of them in this draft. You guys saw a bunch of them go pretty quick, right in that area in the second round. With Tutu going right after us, and Marshall and some guys like that. Rondell Moore, those guys can just run all day. And, Rogers from Clemson, there's a whole bunch of those guys in this draft. And, he trains hard, and he can run all day.
Johnny, one of the things I would just add to, as we're kind of getting a feel for who he is, and you guys are getting a feel for it also, there were a number of smaller receivers, fast, speedy guys in this draft, but we saw him as 5'9" something, but he was 190 something too, and he looks physical, plays strong, plays a dynamic style with the ball in his hands and all that. I think that was one of the attributes I know that John liked early on when he first picked him up, and it's been really obvious that he's got a uniqueness to him in that regard that we'll be able to hopefully use in a number of ways.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, Pete and I, in our whole staff, we really been focused on him for a while, especially after the Senior Bowl.
Joe?
I'm curious how much it goes into consideration, obviously liking the player, but maybe also considering how this player complements what you already have on the roster. In this case, specifically, how he complements, DK and Tyler, or if that doesn't even factor into the equation, we just love the player and we'll make it work, regardless of what else might be on the roster.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The dynamics of his speed, the speed factor, the track background, that's attractive. We want to make sure that our guys are big threats. All our guys run 4.3s, and Tyler and DK both run low 4.3s, and so to have another element in there with that kind of speed concerns that you provide for the opponent. That's part of this thinking, but we're looking for well-rounded guys that fit and can complement too. We'll have the ability to. Like DK can move all over the place now. He's learned enough in his couple of years to do that. We use Tyler in and out of the slot, and we would like that versatility from any of the guys that come on the field. So, when Dwayne gets his shot, we'll use all of that hopefully, and then mix and match and kind of hide it and disguise it as we want to, and we'll see how that works. But it is all part of it, that the guys have elements that do complement, and of course, you can't replace the speed, and so then we kind of started there.
Tim?
John, you've mentioned the Senior Bowl a couple of times. How significant does that become in the evaluation of guys who might be coming from smaller conferences where sometimes they're just raw talent can outplay what they're competing against on the field?
I don't think it's become any more important. It always has been very important for small school guys. The one thing that Jim Nagy's done a really good job of is because he's kind of an underdog guy. He loves the underdog, so he's always going to be inviting and looking for those small school guys to come in and compete with the bigger schools, and Dwayne fits in that category. So over the years there's been a number of games that have disappeared, but the Senior Bowl has always been a very, very strong game, great evaluation platform for us.
Greg?
Guys, how does Shane Waldron's system, the new passing game, and how you want to get the ball out relate to Eskridge and fit his game?
Yeah, I think it. I'll try to say it better so I didn't make the point last time. We want real versatile guys. We want guys that can do everything because our guys do have to block. We use them in splits and motions and all kinds of positions more than we have, maybe more emphasis than we have in the past. And that calls for these guys to be able to do a numbers of things. And that means they've got to recognize fronts and who's who, linebackers and DBs and all that kind of stuff as they carry out their assignments. In particular, I think you'll see in time as you guys get a chance to see Dwayne, you're going to see that he can do all of that. He's a physical kid, and he'll be able to be a well-rounded player. If you look back in what they have built through the Rams system, with Cooper Kupp and Robert, they have had guys on the field that stay out there because they can do a little bit of everything, and so we like that kind of versatility. And so I think in the first receiver that we've chosen, with our new offensive coordinator, I think that's a little bit of a statement in that regard. That's something we like and something we're looking for.
So when you see 5'9", you think, well, probably slot, but you're emphasizing he's not just a slot.
No, I don't see it that way at all. We see him as a deep threat. I mean, you saw him. He can catch the ball way down the field. He's got great downfield speed. He's got great finishing speed, too. So the kind of track background he has, you can see the acceleration stay with him as he moves. And he's going to be a guy that can stretch the field for us. So we won't just restrict him to being an inside player. We'll move him around.
Art?
You answered that a little bit, Pete, but I was just wondering about, is it with his skill set, I mean, some people call it a gadget player, but do you see him as a third receiver being on the field a lot more than third receivers you've had in the past?
I don't know that it's going to take on any more numbers, and I don't want to try to throw around those thoughts right now, if you don't mind, because nobody knows what we're doing right now. So we'll unveil that later. But he has a skill set that I mean, you saw him play outside, like he said. He's played 80% of the time. He played X receiver. He's out of the box and out there in one-on-one situations quite a bit. And he certainly can do that. And he certainly can be an inside receiver that can get across the field. We've seen all of that. There'll be a learning curve for him in our offense. We do more things than they did. And in that schematically, he'll have a chance to learn, and we'll learn more about him. That's what John said. Our coaches need to get him on the field. We need to start working with him. We need to see what he adapts to well and what comes easy to him. As always with young players, we want to do the things that they do well early so that they can find success and have confidence in what we're asking of them, and then we'll expand from there. So that's kind of how we will always approach that with any player at his position, and it certainly it pertains here.
Curtis?
Yeah, Pete, the second half of last season, it seemed like you guys were lacking a solid third option in the passing game. Whether it was David not being there as much, Greg being hurt, all of that. How much did that kind of put a highlight on needing somebody like this to kind of bolster the group that you had?
Shane has talked since we first started talking about, schematically how we're going about it, philosophically how we're going about the offense, about having three legitimate threats, in passing situations, so a defense can't lock you down. And it was one of the reasons that Gerald was such a big get for us, was such a great acquisition for us in the offseason to help us. But we always want to have three guys out there that they've got to work with and contend with, so they just can't double guys up and take them out of the offense. So I will find out, how well Dwayne fits in that regard, but we're counting on him being a factor, and and as our other guys too. This is going to be a great, like as I said a couple days ago, it's going to be a wide open competition this camp for guys to show where they fit, and we're waiting to allow that emergence to occur, and excited to see the competition bring that out. But we want the diversity, certainly.
And one more quick one. Just, you guys signed Robert Kemdiche yesterday. What kind of were you looking at there, and what does he bring to you, and what were you thinking with the move?
You do it?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. Well, we're always looking to get better, and we're always looking to find guys. And John, brought Robert's name up, and we remembered him from the draft from before. Lost track of him a little bit because he'd been banged up and missed a year, but. Man, he came in here and worked out, and he just blew us away. And so we're thrilled that he's going to join us and add to the competition, bring what he brings. This was a very dynamic football player a few years back when he came out. He's only 26 years old. He's ready to go. Really, really excited about the opportunity coming here and being with our guys and all that. And so we'll see. We'll see how this fits in. He's got some things that he can do that look a little bit different than some other guys. Exactly what we're always looking for, the uniqueness that a guy can add, and we think Robert might be able to do a real nice job playing the three technique and moving around in passing situations for us. He's an inside player, though, primarily.
Matt?
Hey, this is for John or Pete. Dwayne shared a screenshot of him texting a friend saying that Seattle was the place he wanted to land. This is where it felt right for him. I know you mentioned that he interviewed well and you liked it, but was there something distinct or unique that stood out about him that you kind of felt that same vibe, that you guys were kind of simpatico?
Yeah, I just think, when we evaluate all the different, video meetings that we have with these guys, and whether it was the scouts, at the Senior Bowl, whether it was an individual one with Jason, whether it was all of the phone calls that Jason had with him and the conversations, he was quick to respond. He was on top of it. He answered all the questions to the best of his ability. And then our last conversation with him, again, Nate Carroll and Kerry Joseph had a really great hour-long interview with him where he's just real. And I think, they had a respect for him and he had a respect for them. And so, it was just it was a very clear picture on the person and how to evaluate him.
Came across really competitive, and really bright. The coaches were really, they were really impressed, and obviously, he commented also likewise, that he was impressed with where we came from. So it just seemed like a really good matchup, and it kind of was the icing on the cake after all of the process of evaluating him, as a player and as he came out of his program. So I'm glad that he felt that way. I'm proud that that's the way, our whole process, because that's not just coaches. That's everybody working together, because everybody contributed to the communication with him and learning who he is. So that's a beautiful thing. I like it.
Thank you.
Jen?
This might be looking ahead just a little bit, John, but with only 3 picks, you've got some free agency stuff that you're going to be looking at here in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
How much did only having 3 picks change that process for you, or maybe in some cases even help?
Yeah, well, that's why we didn't make the trade. We tried to stay away from more picks. No, I appreciate the question. It's, I think we're going to be very attractive with just three picks. When you're recruiting these guys after the draft, it's in the last several years we've had, 7, 8, 10, picks, and so it's been hard for us to recruit guys and try to convince them, whether it's the area scouts, the coaches. When we're working on these guys, to be able to convince them that they're going to have a clean opportunity, and so I think just naturally when you have 3 draft choices, I think we're going to be a very, very attractive landing spot for, unless we do something tomorrow, but I don't know if we have quite the fire.
Pile up some picks tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna pick at 129, and then we're gonna think about Gabe Jackson for about a whole round, and then we're gonna think of Carlos Dunlap, finishing the game in Washington for another round, and then we're going to pick at 250, and then we're going to start recruiting our butts off. So, no, I appreciate the question. I think it's just, I think we're going to be very attractive for rookie free agency, and it's been a unique year. It's been a hard year to evaluate for every team. So my hope is that not my hope. I know we're going to do a great job with it, and I know the coaches and the scouts are ready for it.
Yeah, we're fired up for recruiting. As John always says, you tell a trapper by his furs. So when these guys start making their calls,
it's totally his
about
deal.
Bringing guys in, the pressure's on. But we'll find out. We're going to find out who the real recruiters are.
It's pretty hard to recruit at us. So you guys got to know, when we got here the first year, he's like, "Wait a second, we're only going to pick 2 of those guys in the first round." I'm like, "Yeah, usually you only pick 1." Okay. Wait, we're not going to get all those guys?
Anyway,
no, our staff does a great job of recruiting, so we're excited
we're
about
looking forward to it.
Before we get to the last question from Greg Bell, Matt Calkins, what did you get up and eat? All right, Greg, go ahead.
Wow, he's showing you his beer. Wow.
John, the run on trade downs early in round 2, how did that kind of change plans for you or make it harder for you later?
You mean by the time we got there?
Right.
Yeah. It was hard. It was just more of a situation where we kind of thought we had something, so it just literally at the last couple of minutes it fell apart. So we were once we got there, we were Pete and I were trying to decide, should we just take the player or take a chance and see what the rest of the group looked like. But we truly had not made a decision of whether or not we were gonna move or not, and then it just fell apart. So it's the way God wanted it to be. So here we go.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
See you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks.